this speech, I'm going to inform my audience about the history of aviation and how far it has come over the last 120 years. So from the beginning of human history, humans have wanted to fly. Only in the past 120 years have we been able to accomplish this. I'm going to tell you the story of Daedalus and Icarus. After escaping the tower in which he had been imprisoned on the island of Crete, the master architect Daedalus thought about how him and his son could escape the island. The ships were too closely guarded for that idea to work. And so one day, Daedalus was thinking, and it came to him. Daedalus gathered feathers and some wax, and he fashioned a pair of wings for him and his son. In no time, the two learned to fly. Well, one day, on the day that they were supposed to fly, Daedalus warned his son Icarus about the danger of flying too close to the sun and saying that his wings would melt. But unfortunately, Icarus got so excited mid-flight that he got too close to the sun and disaster ensued, thus melting the wings and falling out of the sky and killing him. This Greek myth, recounted over 2,000 years ago, demonstrates a man's fascination with flight that has endured throughout history. The history of flight is a long and fascinating story. From the beginning of human history, humans have wanted to fly, and only in the past 120 years have we been able to accomplish this. In this speech, I will tell you about the myths and legends from ancient human history, early efforts, and the actions of two inventors that led to the first airplane. Then I will update you about the status of modern flight. So from the beginning of time, man has been thinking about flying. So the Greeks also told stories about a man named Bellerophon who rode a winged horse who was named Daedalus. According to the legend, King Kai of Persia attached eagles to his throne and flew around his kingdom. Alexander the Great, alive around 400 AD, supposedly harnessed 4 mythical winged characters called griffins and flew around his kingdom. The early efforts of flight, in 4000 BC, the Chinese invented kites, which were both used for fun and for religious ceremonies. It was known or to be believed that humans were alofted on these kites. This got humans really thinking about flying. An ancient Greek developer named Hero created a spear that rotated with stem and pressure, causing it to rotate. Leonardo da Vinci also made the first real studies in the 1480s. He illustrated his ideas in over 100 drawings, and one of those ideas was the ornithopter, which is now the precursor of the modern-day helicopter. In 1783, Joseph and Jacques Montgolfier invented the hot air balloon, which was the first recorded manned flight. The glider was invented by George Cayley, and he designed many different versions of gliders. In a glider, man could use his body to control flight. Now, in the 19th and 20th century, a German engineer named Otto Lithenol studied birds and aerodynamics. He designed a glider that could fly humans and fly long distances. The Wright brothers actually used his book, published in 1889, as the basis for their design. Before the Wright brothers ever flew, a man named Samuel Langley invented steam-powered engines in 1891 and flew a plane for 3/4 of a mile before running out of fuel. The first airplane, the Wright brothers were the turning point of modern aviation. They went through many different designs and experimented with many different things. Now, along the Wright brothers flying history, many different ideas have been used in aviation. Airplanes were even used in the First World War, which military was a common turning point for aviation. Now, the most common form of engine for an aircraft is a reciprocation engine, which is what you would most commonly find in your car. In the late 40s and early 50s, turbine engines were largely researched and vastly used in World War II. The first one was developed by Frank Whittle, and it was a centrifugally compressed jet engine. The most common jet engines now are axially compressed, which means it's compressed along the axis of the engine. So, in 1958, the FAA was made due to increasing safety concerns in modern aviation, and And military has had the most to do with modern aviation design. They have put the most effort and money into research for modern aviation. So now, with modern commercial airliners, they can cruise at upwards of 500 miles an hour and go from Indianapolis to Detroit in about 45 minutes. To think that is a 5-hour drive, that is crazy that it can only do that in 45 minutes. Now, new processes and designs are being developed every day, such as electric and even ionization-powered engines. Now, modern day has come really far in the last 120 years, and we are still improving. So, for example, the LEAP 1B engine designed by GE uses 13% less fuel than the previous generation called the CFM56. And also, in addition to that, our future could be electric-powered airplanes, and even solar-powered airplanes. There is largely unknown what the future could hold, as it is still being developed every single day, but there is lots of hope for aviation and it becoming more efficient and green way to travel.